Hello everyone, we have to discuss about the UGC NET paper 2023. Hello everyone, we have to discuss about the GS paper 3 mains answer writing. क्वेश्चन देख लेते हैं. साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी डेवलपिंग एंड देयर application in effect in everyday life and achievement of the Indian in the science and technology. Indigenizations and of the technology and developing the new technology. What is the strategic importance of the semiconductor fabrications for India? Discuss the need for a long terms visions and sustained effort to the world are the safe reliance semiconductor industries and 250 was difficulty level moderate. Reference the Hindu and Inside on India. Why the questions? The article discussed the significance of the semiconductor and fabrication in India and the need for the strategic initiative to the boost domestic productions. Key demand of the questions to write about application of semiconductor and fabrications and how the government can created other thrivings domestic semiconductor industry directive words and discussion. This is an all the encompassing and direct debate on paper by the Gwen and through the detail of the issues and concern by the examine each one of them, and you must give the reason for both for and against argument. Structure of the question. Introduction. Begin by the giving statistics and highlighting the strategic significance of semiconductors in India and body in the first parts, and discuss the various application of the semiconductors and fabrications, computer, phones and servers, farms and missiles, and in there the guidance systems and warplanes, submarine aircraft and carriers and satellites, etc. Next, write about the steps and need to the created either robust domestic industries and for the semiconductors and tackling R&D and the problem funding, solving and intellectual properties and issues. The mention various measures and already initiative by the government in this regard. Conclusion. Conclude with other way forward. Introduction. Semiconductor chips are the basic buildings and blocks that the substance as the heart and brain of all and modern electronics and information and communication technology produced, and thus chips are the now and the integral and part of the contemporary automobile, household and the gadgets and the essentials medical devices such as the ECG and machines. Semiconductor shortage is the turning into the acute issues, and due to it the growth and prospect of the auto industries are the once and again in the geo and and these issues also offer immense opportunity for India to the foray into the integrated and the circuit and chip design body application of the semiconductor material, and the semiconductor has its the application in almost the every sectors of the electronics, and let have other look at the few applications of the semiconductors. Electronic devices enabled and systems and the thermals and the conductivities and light emitting diodes. Application of semiconductors. The modern economic needs of the all and kinds of the chips in grid and the quantities and for the everything from computer telecommunications and gears robot and the medical equipment and watches industries matches and semiconductors chips go into the computers, phones, servers and farms that the store data, and they are used to control the launch of missiles and in their guidance systems. Chips are the embedded in the warplanes and the submarines and aircraft and carriers. At the present, all the silicons and needed in thus the critical pieces of the strategics and equipment is the important. If we do not have full and proof access to all the silicons, and that the our strategics and the capabilities and needs all the time, and India can bid and goodbye and to its the goal of strategic autonomies to be other regionals if not other global power. India has its own the nuclear energy programs, a space and programs and drawing on thus to and a the programs and to build nuclear weapons and delivery mechanism. India does not want to take shelters and under the another countries nuclear umbrella ban confronting our nuclear arms hostiles power. External dependence for the vitals and semiconductors is the chink in India and the armor. Importance of semiconductor chips play a critical part in making life easier and stimulating and digital and disruptions and advancing economic. Semiconductors are the foundation of modern electronics and driving the next phase of digital transformations and under the industry 4.0. The ubiquitous and chips are now an the integral part of the contemporaries and the automobiles and household and gadgets, and such as the refrigerators and essential medicals and devices such as the ECG machines. And scarcity of chips can cause productions to suffer in almost every industry and underline the necessary to diversify and chip supply way forward, giving the long and gestations period and repeat technology changes and India and must out the strategic on the design and the functionalities as the end product will be out only after the 3 4 years from the moment and work began, by which point and the prevailing and chip shortage would have been resolved and while technology and would have advanced further. Apart from the incentivizing and more the FDI in the electronics to depend our supply chain through the incentives and schemes, and we need to focus on encouraging and India's manufactured and startup to the enter and mastered complex R&D and manufacturing verticals. We can then ensure that the which valuable and intellectual properties is created and owned by Indian companies. The semiconductors industries is changing fast as new the age technologies and required innovations. It the design material and process levels and Indian engineers have contributed immensely, and to this the areas is the multinational companies, and we must encourage them and to set up their design and start-ups and with the and some government grant and tax incentives and premium research institutions such as the Indian Institutes of the Science should also be the asked to work aggressively and on the R&D in cheap designing and manufacturing. Further, the government must focus on emerging technologies like the lidars and fast and RE in which and the incumbents and do not have other disproportionate and advantage, and the entry and barriers is low. By working aggressively in new and cutting edge and technologies, India can the ensures and that it becomes the eight money bhar, and India needs to push for other quiet supply and chain and resiliences fund to immunize and the supply chains from the geopolitical and geographic risk. India and Taiwan have started negotiations for a free a free trade agreement and the setting up other semiconductors and manufacturing hub in and the Indian cities, and signaling and there the resolve to further expand the two ways economic engagement. And conclusion, India will need to develop the capacities in the microprocessors and core the technologies and cheap design based on that core and in the machines and needed to create a cheap and the fundraise. And India has the largest workforces in the tech and toiling away in the Indias and the rest of the world and tackling R&D problems set by multiple national companies and foreign governments. The point is to bring a large enough number of them together to solve problems and identified by the government and with funding from the government and promised of owning the intellectual properties, and they developed the diluted only to meet the government strategic needs and value additions. Government initiatives in this the regard. The Union Cabinet decision to set aside and 76,000 crores for the supporting the development of other semiconductors and display manufacturing and ecosystems, and is other belated and but the welcome acknowledge of the strategic significance of integrated and circuit or chips to other modern economic. India Semiconductor Mission. In order to drive the long term and strategic for the developing either sustainable semiconductors and display and ecosystems and specialized and the independence, India Semiconductor Mission ISM and will be set up. ISM and will the validated and by the global experts, and in the semiconductor and display the industries it will act as the nodal agency for efficiency and the smooth implementations of the schemes on the semiconductor and display ecosystems. Production linkage and incentives. Incentives supports to the tunes of rate 55,392 crores and 7.5 billions USD has been the approach under the PLI for the largest scales electronics and manufacturing and PLI for the IT hardwares and SPECS scheme and modified electronics manufacturing clusters and EMC and 2.0 schemes. In addition, PLI and the incentives to the quantum of the raise 98,000 crore and USD 13 billions is the approved for the alliance sectors and comprising ACC battery and auto component, telecoms network and product, solar PV models and white goods, semiconductor fab and display fab. It would provided fiscal supports of up to the 50% of the project cost for setting up semiconductors and display fabrication unit. The unit government will work with the states and to set up the high-tech clusters and with the required and infrastructures and such as the land and semiconductor grant barter and semiconductor laboratory SASCL. METI will take and the requisites and step for the modernizations and the commercializations of semiconductor and laboratory SCL. And METI will explore the possibilities for the joint ventures of SCL and with other commercials fab partners to modernize the brownfield and fab the facilities. Compound semiconductor, it will support and fiscal support of the 30% of the capital expenditures to approve unit. It lists 15 such the units of the compound semiconductors and packaging gear and expected to be the stabilized and with the government support under this scheme. Semiconductor design companies, the design linkage incentives and DLI schemes and sell the extended product design liked and incentives and of the up to the 50% of the eligible and expenditures and produced the deployment and linked in incentives of the 6% and 4% of net sales for 5 years, and support will be the provided to the 100 domestic companies of semiconductor design for integrated and circuit ICS and the chipsets and system on chips and SOCs and the system and IP and crores and semiconductor linked design. Discuss the advantage of the optical fibers technology over the conveyance technologies used and for communication through light on their the applications to 50 words. Difficulty level easy. Reference the Hindu. B. The question on optical fiber and are the made of thin and cylindrical stand of glass. Cylindrical instead of glass, and the diameter of the tropical fiber is close to the diameter of other human hairs. Key demand of the question to write about the advantage of optical fibers technology over the conventional technology used for the communication. Directive was discussed, and this is an all the encompassing directive, and you must debate on paper by going through the detail of the issues and concern by examine and each one of them, and you must give reasons for both for and against the arguments. Structure of the question. Introduction beginning by the giving context and about the growth of the optical communication body. Write about the advantage of the optical fiber and the technologies over the convention technologies on the basis and of the data transmission speed and the brand which and attenuation and losses cost infrastructure and the company compatibility etc. Next, write about the application of optical fibers and conclusion, and conclude by the summarizing introduction. An optical fiber is the flexible and the transparent introduction. And optical fiber is the flexible fiber is the flexibles and the transparented fiber made by the drawing glass and silicas or plastic to other diagram, and the strictly and thicker than and that of the human hairs. Optical fiber is the technology associated and with data and transmissions using the light and pulses traveling along with other long fiber, and which is the usually made of plastic or glass. Optical fibers and work on the principles of total international reflection when light traveling in and the optical dense mediums heat a boundary at other steep angles larger than the critical angle for the boundaries. The light is the completely reflected. This is called total international reflections. Design of and the optical fiber 100 gamma um 100 400 um2 cladding or core and EPQ projecting jackers. Optical fiber is made of other thin glass cores and diameter 110 to 100 and surrounded by other glass coatings called the claddings and protected by other jacket of plastic. A fiber optic and relay system consists of the following component and the transmission. It is the produce the light signal and the encoded and them to fit to transmits and the optical fibers the mediums of transmitting the light pulse and signal the optical receivers. It is receives and the transmitted light pulse and signal and decodes them to be fit to use for the optical and regenerators and necessary for long distance data transmission. Advantage of optical fibers and technologies over the convenient technologies. Digital signal. Optical fiber are the ideally and suited for carrying the digital information, which is the especially useful in computer network. Higher carrying capacity, and because the optical fiber are the thinner and then the coppers. Wires more the fiber can be the hand burn laid and into other given and diameters cables and then the coppers wires, and this the allow more the phones lines to go over the same cables or more channels to come through the cables into yours the business or home. Less signals degradations. The loss of signals in optical fiber is less than in copper wires. Less expensive, several miles of optical cables can be made the cheaper than the equivalent and length of the copper wire, and this the saves yours providers and you money. And thinner optical fiber can be the drawn to the smaller diameter than copper wires. Light signal, unlike electricals and signals and in the copper wires and light signals from one the fiber and do not the interferes and with those of the other fibers in the same cables, and this means and clearer phone the conversations or the TV receptions. Low power, because signal in the optical fibers and degrades and lays the lower powers and transmissions meters can be used and instead of the high voltage electricals and transmitters and needed for copper wires, and against this the save your providers and you money. And non the flexibles, and because no electricity is passed through optical fiber and there is no the fire hazard. Lightweight and optical cables and weight less than other comparatives copper wires and cables fibers optic and cables take up less space in the ground. Flexible, because fiber optics and are so the flexible and can the transmit and the receive light. They are used in many the flexible digital cameras and for the medicals imaging in the bronchoscopes and the endoscopes and the laparoscopes. For mechanicals and imaging used in the inspectings and mechanicals and voids in the pipes and the engines in the airplanes, rocket space and the satellites, cars and in the plumbings to inspected and receivers lines. Application, telephone and medical application. Telephone calls are made between the different to the locations and that are near or far away from each other. An implementation of such communication between two different places is other different task, and therefore optical fiber are used that make this the connections and communications between two far places and easy and clear. Medical application, the structure of the optical fiber is very the flexible and is of the small size. Therefore optical fiber is used in the medical application to use the international body parts during the surgery of the international body parts, and there is other need to the transmit light, and therefore optical fiber is required. Installation of CCTV cameras and require other high initial investment, so CCTV cameras and the application that make and use of them and need to work and properly and for other long period of time. CCTV cameras are therefore installed and using the fiber optic cables for long use. Computer network, in other network multiple systems are connected together. The system are connected with the help of fiber optics cables, and fiber optics cable can connected the devices together that belongs to the same network or another network. In thus the connected and network the fiber optic and cables can the transmit the data fastly and efficiency is the compared to others the copper wires. Internet is widely and used for every application today, and fibers and optics cables are the majorly and used in internet. Fiber optics and cables are used in internet as they can transmit large amount of data in over long distance and using the fibric optics and the cables and provides and with the advantage such as the high transmissions flexibilities, low weight, etc. Therefore is internet fiber and optics cables are use different and space the related applications, and the most basic necessary in different and space related applications is the security and fabric optics cable, and thus provided with more the security of data in space applications. And there are the various tasks such as communication between the satellite, high data transmission, etc. This task can be performed with the greater efficiency by the fabric optics cables. And automobile industries, today the automobile industries are the expanding very rapidly for the lighting the interior and the exterior part and for providing the security. The fibers optics is widely used in the vehicles, and this the fabric optics cables can help to the transmit the lights from one part to another and provides and with the faster communication between them. Television cables, the use of fibers and optics and cables for the television is being widely and the increased fiber optics and cables have high speed and high the brand and bandwidth, and therefore they are used for the transmission of the high definition and television as compared and with the other, and the copper wires and fiber optics and cables are the cheapest but provide more features and mechanicals and inceptions and on-site inceptions, and engineers use the optical fiber to the detect and damages and the fault which are at the heart to the rich and places. Even plumbers use optical fiber for the inceptions of the pipes and conclusion with the goal to the securing communications and promoting quantum science. The government of India announced other national emissions in the union budget of 2020. The proposed budget for the national mission on quantums and technologies and application raised 8,000 crore over the period of 5 years. The possibilities of the fiber optics and network are growing at an accelerated and rate and reaching all the ways into our homes, and along with the quantum optics and fiber optics and communication standard on the cusp of the new era. Despite significant scientific advances made by the artificial intelligence, all there are the concern associated with it need and the immediate and addressing the analysis difficult level moderate reference inside on India and by the question, and the questions is part of the strategic syllabus of general studies paper 3 and the mention as the part of the mission 2024 secure timetable. Key demands of the questions and to write about the potential and concern associated with AI. Directive words analysis. When asked to analysis, you must examine the methodological, the structures or nature of the topic by the separating it into the componented part and the prevent them in other summary. Structure of answer. Introduction. Define all and its the contribution in general body. First, explain that the artificial intelligence (AI) is the competent in to have the revolutionary impact on business and consumers globally. Next, list down the advantage of AI in the detail and side and the statistics and the examples. Next, discuss the concern associated with AI such as job losses and robots bosses and human error and high the cost ethicals and issues, etc. Conclude with other way forward and introductions. New technologies like the artificial intelligence and machine learning, robotics and big data and network are the expected to the revolutionize and production process, and but they could also have other major impact on developing economic and the opportunities and potential sources of growth, and that for example the United States and China enjoy during the early stage of economically development are the remarkably different and from what the Cambodia and Tanzania are facing in today world. Body significant advances and application of artificial intelligence. It has the potential to overcome the physical limitations of capitals and labors and open up the new sources of value and growth. It has the potential to drive growth and by the enabling in intelligence automatives and availability to the automates complex physicals and world task and innovation diffusions and propellings and innovations, and although the economic heavy industries and space through all and the entire manufacturing process and can be made totally and automated, controlled, managed and by the computer system. Example: car manufacturing and machine tools production, computers, chip production, etc. They carry out the dangerous tasks like the handling hazardous and radioactive material and finance. Bank use intelligence software application to screen and analyze financial data. Software that can predict and trend and in the stock market have been created with have been known to beat humans in the predict powers and aviation role in social development and inclusively growth and examples of the use example of the L use in India. Aviation airlines use expert system in planes to the monitoring atmospheric condition and system status. Rule in the social development and exclusive growth. Access to quality health facilities, addressing local barriers, providing real times and adversity to farmers and help in the increasing and productivity buildings smart and the efficiency cities, etc. The exponential growth of data is constantly and feeding all the improvement AI has varied applications in field like the healthcare, education, smart cities, environment, agriculture, smart mobility, etc. Example of the AI and use in India. A statement of the intended and has been the sign and between the Niti Aayog and the IBMs to develop the precision in agriculture and using the artificial intelligence AI in the aspirational districts. National Payment Corporation of India (NPCI) launched by which is and the L the waste and chartboard and the reduction chartboard to create the awareness and amount. NPCS NPCI and product like the Fastag and Rupee and UPI and AE pays and on other real-time basis concern associated with the artificial intelligence, ethical concern and data management and BS denies and executive regulation, lack of the consensus and conflict of interest among, absence of widespread and expertising in all the technologies. Ethical concern with population of other new technology, it is the virtues are not the guaranteed. For instance, the internet made it possible to connect with anyone and get information from anywhere, but also easier for the misinformations to spread. There are real concern about the potential negative consequences of AI, from deepfakes to nefarious and use of facial recognition technology, data movement. Yes, there is a lack of the clarity on data flow and data ownerships, which might result into the data colonization. Data generated by developing countries aid not the beneficiarying them. Further data collections for feedings the algorithm and has its the associated privacy concern. Mass surveillances it could and contributed to the forgeries and documents, picture, audios and recordings, the video and online identity, and which can and bill and occurs with the interpretantes. Business and the algorithms and used in the artificial intelligence are the disgraced and in the most cases trade secret. They can be the based and for example in the process of the self-learning, and they can the observe and the adopt the stereotypes that the exist in society or which are the transferred to them by the developers and make the divisions based on them the incentives and regulations. Since the AI is still in the in the primarily stage, and some the criticism believed that excessively and the strict regulation is neither necessary nor the desirable. Lack of concern and conflict of interested and among the counter countries over the mechanism and the and the tactics and regulation of AI. Absence of widespread and the expertise in the AL and technologies. This could lead to policy decisions and being the taken based on other narrow spectrum of opinion. There are the large gaps in data collections and preparation and the benchmarking capabilities. Conclusion: regulation must be the continuous and the adapt, and with the evolution of technology, there is need to the find and country specific data and trained workforces, fine tune and the algorithm and the technology suited to the local needs and for the India's to the maximally benefits and from the AL revolution. It is must the adapt the deliberates and policies to the drive and all the innovations and adaptations and the proliferables in the sectors beyond the consumers goods and information technology services. Gaganyaan mission represented the significant leap in for only forward and for India in space explorations and so casting the countries and commitment to advancing its the capabilities in the space science and technology and discuss difficult level moderate and reference the India inside on India and by the question. The question is a part of the strategic science syllabus of the general studies paper 3 and the mentioned as a part of the mission 2024 and the secure timetable. Key demand of the question and to write about the Gaganyaan mission and challenges in its the relevance and directive words. Discuss this is an all the encompassing and directive and you must debate on the paper by going through the details of the issues concerned by examine each one of them and you must give reasons and for both for and against argument and structure of the answer. Introductions and begin by the giving context of the Gaganyaan mission and as the first managed and space mission of India and body. First the write the measures aim and the objectives of Gaganyaan missions and next write about the relevance of managed and space mission for India and boost to industries, technological development, disputes and research and development, national prestige and economically opportunities, etc. And next the write about the challenges in the mission and steps that are the needed to overcome them. Conclude by the summarizing. Introduction. Mission Gaganyaan. Mission Gaganyaan is India the first human space flights and programs in which aims to make India the fourth nation in the world and to launch other human space flight and missions. So far only the USA and Russia and China have the launch and human the space flight missions. The Indian Space Research Organization ISRO commenced and the first uncrewed and developmental flight of its Gaganyaan human space flights and missions from the Sriharikota designated and TB and D1 the launch. The launch vehicles are the single stage and rocket the carried other crew models and fit with either carry and escapes and the system CES and 2 and the altitude of 12 kilometers and there the CES and the detaches and itself and with the carry models and from the rockets and the climbed up to the 17 kilometer in response to the commands and the CES separated from the Cray models and leaving the modules to the reroute and itself before the droppings over the Bay of Bengal and it is the descent and was the sloped first wire. Drop parachutes and then by the main pursuits and finally the modules and is placed into the way the short distance from the Sriharikotas and where the Indian Navy and held it out. body. Aims and objectives of the mission and enhances of subject in science and technology levels in the country. A national project and involving several institutions, academia and industries and improvement of industrial growth and inspiring youth development of technology for the social benefits, improving and international collaborations and relevance of other man-made space mission for India. Boost to industries and employment, technological development and disputes and research and development, motivation, prestige. Boost to industries and the Indian industries and will find the large opportunities through the participations in the highly demanding space missions, and Gaganyaan mission is expected and will the source nearly and 60% of its the equipment on from the Indian private sector in employment. According to the ISRO and the chief, the Gaganyaan mission and would created the 15,000 new in employment opportunities, 13,000 of them in private industries, and the space organization would need other additional and manpower of 900 and technological development human space flights and are the frontier field in the science and technology. The challenges the human space flight and providing to India and the benefits accruing and from the taking up the missions and will be very high and will the lead to the further thrust for technological development in India. The sports research and development is it will boost and good the research and technologies and development and with other large number of the researchers and with the propers and equipment involved and HSF and will the thrust significant and research in areas and such as the materials and processing, astrobiology and resources, mining, planetary chemistry and planetaries and orbitals and calculus and many the other areas, motivation, prestige. Human space flight and will the provide and that the inspiration on to the youth and also the nationals, publics and mainstreams. It would inspire and youth the generation into the notable achievement and enable them to the play their the legitimate role in challenging future activities and prestige. India will be the fourth and the country to launch human space mission the Gaganyaan and will not only the bring about the prestige to the nation and but also the established India role as the key players in the space industry's challenges for a managed missions and the key distinguishing and capabilities and that the ISRO has had to develop the include the ability to bring the spacecraft back for other managed and mission and the key distinguishing and the capabilities that ISRO has had to develop include the capabilities to bring the spacecraft and back to the Earth and after flight and to build other spacecraft in which the astronauts and can live in the Earth-like conditions in space. India is aid to the perfect and full and prove the launch vehicles and technologies the basis requirement for other managed space mission the polar satellites launch vehicles and other geosynchronous and launch vehicles and the two Indian spacecraft developed to launch satellites and modules into the space and are aid to be the man rated and spacecraft and deployed and to the launch satellites and modules into the space are aid to be the man rated. India does not even have the facilities to train the astronaut. ISRO has not been able to the put in space India's and our the global positioning and system in spite and of the completing the NAB and ICN due to the dice functionals autonomy and clocks and in the satellites and rending the fleet other did. The launch pated aid the Sriharikota's and spaceports and the Satish and the Dhawan Space Center and will have to the enhances for the human emission and while the launch vehicles and carry the modules. Industries and technology carry the escape systems and are the space monitoring and tracking the system and environmental control and life support system and ELSC. SS space suits and the crew support systems are still in the development phase. Way forward, it is important to the ensure engagement at the political level to the obtained and long-term commitment and for the India and human space flight missions and financial implications of other long-term human space flight programs development should be the assessed and the returns and benefits the should be the clearly articulated. It is the important to the overcomes the technological challenges to ensure other safe successful manage space mission international collaboration in this the domain can help India ensure other robust and technologies for its the HSF programs and selections of Indians and for astronauts and will be and the important step and producers and of specifications and for the astronauts and either rigorous selection process is suggested. Awareness in the field of the IT and space, the computer, robotics, nanotechnology, biotechnology, and issues relating to the intellectual properties right. Examine the significance of the International Space Station and ISS in the fostering international cooperation in space explorations and difficulties level moderate references Indian Express and Bay the equations and it was the 25th anniversary of the International Space Station ISS. Key demand of the question and to write about the significance of the ISS. Examine and when asked to the examine and we must investigated the topic and content words in details and inspect impacts it's the investigated it and the established and the key factor and issues related to the topic in questions and while doing so we should explain and why does fact and issues are the important and they are the application structure of the answer introductions briefly introduction the International Space Station and ISS and it's the origin body first discuss and how the ISS and has the surveyed is a platform for the international cooperation in space explorations highlighted it is the role in the post space collaboration by the providing a unique and the microgravity and environments and for the research and explores the technological advancement and the innovations that have the resulted from the ISS programs and next the right about how the ISS has the contributed to the development of human space flights and the capabilities conclude by the summarizing introduction the International Space Station ISS is a human made spacecraft station in the low earth orbit that provides a the habitable environment and for the astronaut in space after 25 years and in the orbits and it is the continued to serve as the hub for the research and the peaceful cooperation among nations body about a ISS the ISS orbit earth approximately every 19 minutes it and the altitude of around 400 kilometers and traveling at other speed of roughly and 28,000 kilometers per hour and spanning 109 meters and 357 feet and to end and the ISS and houses and six the sleepings and quarter to the bathrooms a the gym and a the 360-degree and view bay the window and it is the solar's RE and wingspans and the matches it is the length ISS commandations integrated the care of the astronaut and the cosmonauts, and providing living quarters and workspace and life support system necessary for the long duration and space missions. The ISS and serves as other research and the laboratory for the conducting experiences across various scientific and discipline, and including the biology and physics and astronomy and medicines and the material sciences, leveraging the unique microgravity environment. Significance of ISS. The ISS is a joint protected involving the space agencies and from the multiple countries, including the NASA's United Nations and Roscosmos, Russia and ESA, the European Space Agency and JAXA, and Japan Aero Space and Explorations and Agency, and CSA, Canadian Space Agency. It is the stand as other testament and to the international collaboration and scientific advancement in space explorations. The ISS has been visited by the over 240 individuals and from the 19th century, 19 countries, and more than the 3,000 in educational and research and investigations have been concluded on it. This unique the environments and has fostered and not only the scientific and discoveries and but also the strengthened and diplomatic ties and the partnerships in the pursuit of the common goals. The ISS has played a crucial role in advancing human space explorations, serving as a test bed for the long duration space flights. The stations has been crucial in the studying the effect of the extended space mission on the human body, and this knowledge is the individuals, and as we look and towards the futures and endeavors and including the craved and mission to the Mars and beyond. The International Space Station is standard as other scenes example of the what can be and achieved when the nations and work together in the pursuit of knowledge and explorations beyond our home planet. Challenges faced. Amid geopolitical tension, geopolitical geopolitical tensions and the Russian-Ukrainian conflict, uncertainty and looms over the ISS futures, and the US and European aims to the continued and operations and until the 2030, and while the Russia plans to world it is the independent space station. Nations like the Japan, China, India, and the United Arab Emirates and others are the exploiting independence space mission, and NASA are Temis and programs aim for the lunar missions, and while the ESA's plan for other new space stations lab. Conclusion. The International Space Stations continue to the generated numerous and benefits, and that the improve the individuals and lives on the earth, and inspiring the next generation of the scientists and engineers, and fosters and international collaborations, and the enables futures explorations deeper and into the solar system, and knowledge is being generated in the scientific field and from the cell biology and to the cosmology, and new the technology is being developed and demonstrated and with the applications and as the wide ranging as the communications and power generation, agricultures, and the medicines, with 2 decades of operations and behind it, and the orbiting laboratory is the producing other legacy, and that will be the field for the decades to come. What are the stem cells, and throw the light on the various type of the stem cell, and discuss the application of the stem cells technology to 50 a difficult level easy. References inside on IS. Why the question? The question is part of the strategic syllabus of the general studies paper 3 and mentioned as the part of the mission 2024. Secured the timetable key demands of the questions and 2 writes about stem cells, and it is timely and the application and directive words discuss, and this this is an all the encompassing a directive, and you must debate on paper by going through the details of the issues and concern by the examining and each one of them, and you must give reason for both and against argument. Structure of the answer and introduction. Begin by the defining stem cells and body. First in detail and write about the various type of the stem cells and their the features, and embryonic stem cells and adult the stem cells, and the introduced the pluripotent stem cells, and next the write about the myriad of the application of the stem cells and technology and various the programs and initiatives to boost research on stem cells. Conclusion. Conclude by the summarizing. Introduction. Stem cell are the undifferential biological cell and that can the differentiated and into the specialized and cell and can the divided to produce the more stem cells, and they are the body raw material and cell from the which all other cells and with the specialized and function are the generated treatment or the therapies and are used. Stem cells and to the prevent or the treat any the diseases are the known as the stem cells therapy. Stem cells therapy promotes the reparative treatment of the diseases and dead or the injured, and discuss body type of stem cell. Embryonic stem cell. There are stem cell derived and from the blastocyst and stage of the embryo, and the blastocyst and is the pre-implementations and stage formed and 4 to the 5 days and after the fertilizations, and they are the pluripotent and in the natures and found in the inner cell mastoli totipotent, and thus the stem cells can the differential into all the possibles and cell types, and the first few cells that appears and as the zygotes and start and to the divide and are the totipotent and pluripotent, and the cells and can the turn into the almost any the cells from the early and embryo and are the multipotent. The cells can differentiated into other closely unrelated family of cells. Adult hematopoietic stem cells, and for the example can becomes red and the white blood cell all the platelets. Origopotent, and thus can the differentiated into other few and the different cell types, and the adult and the lymphoid or the myeloids and stem cells and can do this, and unipotent thus can and only the produce cells of the one kinds and which is theirs the one types, and however they are the still and the stem cells, and because they can the renew and themselves. Example include adult and the muscles and stem cells and adult stem cells. Adult stem cells or the somatics and stem cells and are found in the both adults and the juvenile animals, and unlike the embryonic stem cells they have the ability to differentiate and into any the cell of the organs and from which they the originated. Endosed and the pluripotent and stem cells thus are stem cells and that are the derived and from the somatic cells, and it is the pluripotent stem cells and generated by the introducing programmatic factors and called the Yamanaka's factors into the manners and cells. Application of stem cells technology. Tissues regenerations and tissues regeneration is the possibility and the most important use of the stem cells, and until now the person who needed other new and the kidney and for example had to the wait for other donor and then the undergo the transplant. There is other shortage of the donor organs, and but by the instructions and stem cells to differentiated in other certain way the scientists and could use them to the grow the specific and tissues and type of the organs and add cardiovascular and diseases treatment. In the 2013, a team of the researchers and from the Massachusetts and General's Hospitals reported in the PNAS and early the editions that they had created blood vessels and in the laboratory mice and using human stem cell. Within 2 weeks of implementing the stem cell and network of the blood perfusion vessels had the formed. The qualities of those new blood vessels and was as good as the nearly and natural ones. Brain diseases treatment and cell deficiency therapy and blood diseases and the treatment and way forward. Blood diseases treatment. Doctor may one be the able to use and replacement cell and tissues to treat the brain diseases such as the Parkinson's and the Alzheimer's. In Parkinson's and for example damage to brain cells and lead to the uncontrolled muscles and movement and scientists could use stem cells to the replenish and the damaged brain tissues. This could bring back the specialized brain cells and then the stop the uncontrolled muscles movement. Cell deficiency therapy. Scientists hope one day and to be the able to the developed healthy heart and cell in the laboratory that they can the transplant into the pupils and with the heart and diseases thus new the cells could repairs the heart and damage by the repopulating and the heart and with the healthy tissues. And similarly people with type I the diabetes and could receive the pancreatic cell to the displace the insulin and producing the cell and that there's even the immune system and have lost or destroy and blood diseases treatment. Doctor now the routinely and use the adult hematopoietic and stem cells to treat the diseases such as the leukemia and sickle cells and anemia and others. The immunodeficiency problems and the hematopoietic stem cells occurs in blood and the bones marrows and can the produce all the blood cells type and including the red blood cells and that the carry oxygen and white the blood cells and that the fight diseases. Way forward there is other need for the implementations and of other rules framed by the center and despite the existence of regulatory framework. Scientists clinics and doctors continued to work and with the stem cells and without the proper approval there is other need to the encourages and reporting of the effect of the stem cells and therapies and trial the evidences of best programs is the vital in other dynamic and the much happened and field like the stem cells and technology. There is other need to the create awareness about the risks and benefits and the limitations of stem cell the therapies to protect the potential from the improvement therapies and offerings by the profits driven clinics and regulation of the IVF clinic is essential to break the image of the India and as and the embryo suppliers and for the deviewers and the research instead of depending on stem cells and derived from the embryos and adult stem cells or includes the pluripotent stem cells and can be the worked and with to the greater existence certification of clinicism and the approved and for the providing stem cells therapy. In internationally applications guidelines and must be the developed by the organizations like the WHO as this is not and the issues and to be the solved by one country in the resolutions conclusion through balanced through advancement in stem cells and technology is making the strides and there is other need and to the funnel it the through and the appropriate testing and clinical trial and before being used on the general public and therefore this other well and functioning regulatory mechanism and responsible research and application are of the vital important. What is the chat and GPT and access the potentials and opportunities and threats associated and with the artificial intelligence language model and including the chat and GPT 250 words. Difficulties level moderators and references inside on India by the questions and the questions is other part of the static syllabus of the general studies and paper 3 and mentioned as other part of the mission 2024 and secures the timetable. Key demand of the questions and to write about the chat GPT and changes introduced by its the opportunities and the other the threated. Structure of the question introduction began and by the defining the chat GPT body and first write about the changes and introduced by the chat and GPT and as the chatbot and which has the brought in the new aspects and the conversational AI and the next write about the advantage it is the bring in the various domain and such as the education generalist search and engines art etc. Next the write about the limitation of the chat and GPT and the adverse effect and it can the uses in the exciting industries conclude by the writing a way forward introductions. Introductions and the chat GPT and open AI and new the chatbot is other conversationals and L the which answer and queries and just like other humans and would and it is other varianted of GPT and generatives and pre the trend transferred and which is other large scale neutrals network and based the language model development and by the open L body chat GPT continued. Chat GPT and contours of the conversations and the artificial intelligence AI. Chat GPT is a the chatbot powered by the artificial intelligence and that can be used to the ask questions. And this chatbot is designed in such a the way and that the responses and to the queries are the both technical and the jargon free and it is the natural language processing and NLP and models that the works and with other large corpus of the conversational data. It can the generated human likes the response and allowing for the naturals and conversation and between the users and the virtual assistant. The chatbot employs the reinforcement learning and from the human feedback and RLFH technology. It is the however the altered and to appears more human friendly. It is based on the GPT and the 3.5 the deep and the learning and the language models and that the generated human likes and text because it's the improves and our time and the understand and the queries and better the throws and machines in learning the technologies and will the produce and the different answer and for the same question in the future and opportunities. It can be used and in the real world application and such as the digital marketing, online contact creation, answering the customers and the services queries or as the some users and have the found even to the help and the debug code. The bot can the response to other large ranges of question while the imitating and human speaking styles. It is being seen other. It is being seen as a replacement and for the basic emails, parties and plannings, limits and CBS and even the college and easy and form work. And it can also be the used and to the right code as the example. Hapson and chatbot are the convenient and for providing the customer services and support 24 hours a day and 7 days of the week and they also free of phone lines and are and far less and expensive and over the long runs than the hearings people send to the perform support. They also free up the phone lines and are the far and less the expensive over the long run, and then the hearing pupils to perform the support using the L and the natural language and processing. बिल्कुल शर्म नहीं आया इंसान processing the chatbot and are the becoming better and aid the understanding what the consumers and want and the providing the help and they need the companies also like the chatbot because they can the collect data and about the customer queries and response times and satisfaction and so on. Threat and governance. Governance, fear of the jobless and the reduction need for the human conscience and fear of the social abuses and issues surrounding intellectual prosperity and the copyrights. Fear of the misinformation and the mystery and fears of the conflict, concentration of power and risk for the national security using. Governance. Companies such as the OpenAI are the self-governing the space thread and limitations and realize the strategic and the monitoring use of the models and however self-governance lies the changes and for the manipulations and fears of the job losses and automations of the task and that were the previously and run by humans and such as the writing and news articles or the composing music reduced need for the humans and cognize and young youth children and who will see as there's the friend and to do the homework and fears of the socials and the bisbings and the replications by the AI issues surrounding intellectual properties and the copyright the data sets and behind the generation other models. AI models are the generalities and the scrapped from the internet without the seeking consent from living artists' works still under copyright. Fear of the misinformations and mistrust and by the manipulations of the information creating fake text, speeches, images or videos. Fear of the concentration of power in the hand of other few companies and risk for the national security using the automated troll boats and with the advanced capabilities way forward need to generate an all model AI models more and transparent so that the public can and the understand how and why the models and is the making certain decisions. Use of the diverse training data and as well as the technical like the fairness and constraint and over the adversarials and trainings to the mitigates bias and primarily ensuring the privacy of pupils and accountables governance and ESP of big tech and companies and using other designated AI the ethicist or the AI the wordsman and designing other system and where in the human makes the final decision and AI and can be used as the support system and the collaborations and with the civil society and the policy makers and to the mitigate and the impact of the generating and AI on the disruptions of the labor market and legitimacy of the script and data and the licensing copyrighted and the potential for based on the otherwise and the harmful and contact and the misinformations and so on conclusion. While generating and AI is other game and changers is other norms and areas and tasks and there is other strong needs to go and the diffusions of thus the models and there's the impact on the society and the economic more the carefully value additions. General AI is other type of the artificial intelligence that involve the creating new and original contact over the data using machines and learning the algorithm and it can be used to the generated text and images music or the other type of media. A generative and the pre-trained and the transfer GPD is a type of the large language model and LLM and that uses deep learning to generate human like text. Generative because and they can generated and new text based on the inputs and they receive. Pro-trained and because they are the trained on other large and corpus and of the text data and before the being fine tuned and for the specific task. And transformers because they use either transformers and based on the neurals and network architectures and to process the inputs and text and the generate and output text. Nanotechnology is the helping to the considerably and the inputs even the revolutionize and many the technology and industry the sector to the benefits and society discussed to 50 difficulty level easy. References inside on India by the questions and key demand of the question directive words and discuss and significant of the answer and of introductions and body or conclusion. By the question is a part of the static syllabus of the GS paper 3 and mentioned as the part of the mission 2024 on secure timetable. Key demand of the question to write about the application of the nanotechnology for the betterment of the society directive but discuss and this is an all the encompassing directive and you must the debates on the paper by going through the detail of the issues and concern by the examining each one of them and you must give the reason for the both and for and the against arguments and structure of the answer. Introduction begin by the defining nanotechnology body. First, write about the applications of the nanotechnology. The application of the nanotechnology commonly the incorporated industrial medicines and energies uses and thus the introduced. Thus the includes and more the durations and constructions and materials. Therapeutically and drugs deliveries and higher the densities and dragons and fuels and cells that are environmentally and friendly. And next the right about how does will help in the our development objectives and our the society conclude by summarizing introduction. Nanotechnology is the science of the material at the moleculars is the molecular or the subatomics and levels and it is involved in the manipulations of the particles and the smaller than and the 100 nanometers. So 1 nanometer is the 1 billioners of other metro and the technology and involve the developing materials or the devices within that the size invisible to the human eyes and the often many the 100 times and thinner and can then the breath of the human hairs. The physics and the chemistry of the materials are the radically different and then the reduced to the nanoscale and they have the different and strength conductivity and the reactivity and the exploiting this could revolutions medicines body. Nanotechnology and the nanomaterial can be the applied in all kind of the industry sectors and they are the usual found in thus the areas electronic energy medicines and healthcare environment food textiles future transportation benefits every materials and processes. Electronic carbon nanotechnology. Carbon nanotubes are the close and to the replacing and the silicons as other as other material and food, the making smaller, faster, and more the efficiency and microchips and the devices, and as well as the lighter and more the conductive and the stronger quantums and nanovirus and grapes and properties make it and the ideals candidates and for the development of flexible touch screen. Energy anew the semiconductors and the developed by the Kyoto and the universities make it the possible and to the manufacturers and solar panels and there the double the amount of the sunlight and converted into the electricity. Nanotechnology also lower the cost and the produced and the stronger and lighters and wind the turbinas and improved the fuel efficiency and thanks to the thermals and the insolutions of the some nano components and can the save energy medicines and the healthcare. Nanotechnology is already the broadening and itself and in the areas of the medical tools, knowledge and the therapies and currently available and the clinicize the prosperity of the some nanomaterials and makes them ideals and for the improving and early diagnosis and the treatment of the neuro and the DNA relatives and diseases or the cancer and they are the able to the attack and cancers and cells and selectively and without the harmings and other the healthy and cells and some the nanoparticles and have also been and used the enhances the particles and produced and such as the sun screen. Nanomedical medicine and the application of the nanotechnology in the medicines and draw on the natural scale of the biological phenomena and to the produced precious and solution for the diseases and the prevention of diagnosis and treatment. For example, better imaging and the diagnostics and tools and enabled by the nanotechnology are the paving the way for the earlier diagnosis and more the individualized and treatment options and better the therapeutical success rated. Environment air purifications and with the ions and waste waters and purification with the nano and bubbles and or the nano and filtrations and system for the heavy metals and are the sum of its the environmentally and friendly applications. Nano catalyzed and are also the available to the make chemical reactions and more the efficient and less polluting food in this the field and biosensor and the could be the used to the detect the presence of the pathogens and in the food or the composites and to the improve food and the productions by the increasing mechanicals and the thermal resistance and the decreasing oxygen transfer in the packaged production. Textile nanotechnology makes it the possibles to the developed smarts and the fabric that the don't stain or the and the wrinkles and as well as the stronger and lighter and more durable materials to make the micro motorcycles and helmet or sports and the equipment and future transport portation benefits nanotechnologies and offers the promises of the developing multi-functional material and that will the contribute to the buildings and the maintenance and lighter and safer and smarter and the more efficient vehicles aircraft and spacecraft and ships in additions and nanotechnology offer various means to improve the transportation infrastructure everyday material and process nanoscales and the additives and to or the surface treatment of the fabrics and can the provided lightweight and ballistic energy and deflections in the persons and body armors or can help and them the resist and the wrinkling and stainings and bacterial growth. The clear nanoscales and film over the eye and glasses and computer and cameras and display window and the other surface and can make them and water and the residues and repellent anti-reflective self-cleaning and resiliences to the ultraviolet or the infrared light and anti the fog anti-microbials scratch and resistance or the electrically conductions. Conclusion: nanotechnologies and offers the ability and to the bulk and large the numbers of the product and that are the incredibly powerful. The development process are the heavily integrated and with the biotechnology and information technology, making its the scope and very wide. And nanotechnology based product are the capable of overcoming the limitation of the traditional method, and but the major challenges are it to prevails and over the its the toxicity and environmental hazard and production cost and accessibilities to the unreachables and it far off area. Discuss the distribution of the Chandrayaan-3 mission on to India contributed lunar explorations and its the position in the global space community. 150 words. Diffi- Difficulty level easy and difference inside on IS Wikipedia organization by the question. The question is part of the strategic syllabus of the GS paper theory and mentioned as a part of the mission 2024 and secure the timetable. Key demands of the question is to write about the objectives of the Chandrayaan 3 and its the potential contribution. Structure of the answer: introduction begin by the giving contact body. First, write about the major objectives of the Chandrayaan 3 and conduct the scientific studies of the moon and surface and subsurface using other landers and rovers, and the mission will also the aim to the study lunar and atmosphere and the determine the presence of water and other the minerals on the moons, etc. Next, write about its the contributor to India space exploited. Conclusion and by written by Introduction. Chandrayaan 3 is the successor and or to the Chandrayaan 2 missions, and it is will be the likely an attempt another soft and landings on the lunar eclipse. Introduction. Chandrayaan 3 is the successor to the Chandrayaan 2 mission, and it will the likely an attempt and another the soft landings on the lunar surface, and it will be the mission received of the Chandrayaan 2 and but will only include other lander and the rovers similar to that the of Chandrayaan 2, and it will not have and the orbiters, and as per the ISRO and the total cost of the Chandrayaan 3 and mission will be over and rate 600 crore. In comparisons, the total cost of the Chandrayaan second mission was the rate 960 crores. Chandrayaan 3 mission successful soft landings and on the moon marks an India's significant achievement, becoming the fourth nation in the history and to reach the lunar surface body. Study as objectives of the missions and on discovery of water. The southern polar region of the monsoon characterized and by the deep craters in permanent darkness and is believed to the contain and water ice. In the previously Chandrayaan first instrument and discovered water and the hydroxide and OS the molecules in the moon's and in the atmosphere and on the lunar surface. Buried lava tubes in the Chandrayaan first and the terrain mapping cameras and spectral imagers and found evidence of the underground lava tubes, and thus the structures offer the potential and safe the habitat and for the humans in the future and shieldings against the radiations and meteorics and extremes the temperature and dust storms on the lunar surface. Magma ocean thesis: the moon and formation and from and the impact and that led to the surface melting and killed the magma ocean, and the hypothesis and was studied by the Chandrayaan first and M3 and payload, and this will be the further studies by this the mission. Dynamic moon and the contracted and to the brief belief of the lunars dormancy, and the Chandrayaan first and revealed the moons and the dynamic natures. Dynamic nature and the interactions and with the explosives and terrors mapping cameras and identification volcanic vent and lava pond and the channels, and as the recent as the 100 millions and years old including recent volcanic activities solar plates. Chandrayaan second solar X-ray monitors observers and solar microspheres and beyond the active regions and analyzes the elemented and abundance from the solar corona and mapping of the minerals and class strength and ray the fluorescence and experience mapped and approximately 95% of the lunar surface using the X-ray is the significant improvement paired to past mission. The new missions and will the further explore the abundant oxygen in mineral oxide on the moon and potentially the exploitation tables as fuel for the future space mission. Significance of the Chandrayaan 3 and 4 India and aspected the significance of Chandrayaan 3 and planetary explorations established India credentials and as other serious players in the planetary explorations. Space policy grants and India the ability to the contributed to and the influences future space and policies. Diplomatic outreach enhances the India diplomatic relations and support in the international and community technological advancement and demonstration. India advanced space technology capacities and the national influences elevates and India positions and in the global space discussion and collaborations and futures collaborations and paves the ways and for the partnership and with the other space agencies and nations the confidences and capability and boost India confidence to undertake the complex and space missions and transmissions. Reflected India program from other developing country to other and developed me. Conclusion: the successful and landing of the rovers and Chandrayaan 3 and made India the fourth country to the soft land a spacecraft on the moon after the United States, USSR, and China. Examine the various uses of the biotechnology in India and the value it is potential for the growth, particularly in the light of government initiatives, and I am at the forestings and it is the development to a difficult level easy and reference insight on is by the question. The question is a part of the statistics syllabus of the general study paper 3 and mentioned as a part of the mission 2024 secure timetables. Key demand of the questions and to write about the biotechnology sectors of the country, and it is the potential and significant in the light of directive word. Examine when asked to the examine and we must the investigates and the topic contact word in detail and inspected and it is the investigated and it and the established the key factor and issues the related to the topic in the question, and while doing so and we should explain and why thus the fact and issues are the important and their the implications, the structure of the answer and introductions. Write a few introductory and the line on the what you understand and by the biotechnology and body first, and write that the biotechnology and has the diverse and the application in India's and the agriculture. the agriculture, healthcare, and the individual's environmental protection, and the industrials and process, etc. And next, the mention the various step and taken by the India to the promote it the stabilizing research institution and promoting research and development, intellectual properties right, and the international collaboration, etc. Next, write about the potential and limitation of the above, and conclusion and conclude by the writing a way forward. Introduction. United Nations Conventions on Biological Diversity and defines the biotechnology, any technologies application that use the biotechnological system, living the organism or derivatives and thereof to make or the modify and product or the process for the specific use. And biological resources include the genetic resources, organism or part and there of the populations or any the other biotic component of ecosystems, and with the actuals or the potential use or value for the humanity. India has become the world and 12th biggest technological economic, having the second highest numbers of US FDA approved the plants and biotechnology, and will help the developing countries and accomplish and things that they could never do. And body Indian biotechnology scenario. And in India, the world 12th and biggest the biotechnology economic, and having the second highest number of the US and Food and the Drug Administration and US FDA approved plant and the industry, and is not only the excited and aid the revival in the US and but also about it is the domestic proportion. The Indian economic grew to the 4.3 billions and at the end of the 2013 and financial year, up from the 530 billions in 2003, according to the Biospectrum, is the widely read trade population in India through concentrated in the Hyderabad and Bengaluru, and there are the units and sportings across the country, and currently some 350 companies are in the operation in the biopharmaceutical sectors, and which the includes and vaccine and medicals derived, and the stem cells is the main drivers of India biotechnologies and growth, the generating and close to 63% of the industries and total revenue in 2013. And biotechnology has the following relevant in India, and the application of the biotechnology in medical. Biotechnology techniques are used in the medicals and for the diagnosis and treating different diseases. It is give the opportunity for the pupils to the protect themselves and from the dangerous diseases. The field of biotechnology, genetics engineering has introduced the technicals like gene and therapies and the recombinant and DNA technology, and the polymerase and chain reaction, which use the genes and DNA molecules to the diagnose diseases and insert new healthy genes in the body, and which the replace the damaged cells. Genetic modification in mosquitoes and can solve the problems of the epidemic diseases, and such as the dengue and the malaria. Artificial inseminations is the artificial introduction of semen into the reproductive tract and of the female animal. It is used the extensively in the breeding animals such as the sheep and cattle. Medical researchers and believe and that the stem cells and therapy has the potential to the dramatically change the treatment of human diseases. A number of the adult stem cells the therapies already the exist, and the particularly bone and marrow and transplants, and that are the used to treat the leukemia. And stem cell transplantation and was the first used in the treatment of the blood disorders, and it was the breakthrough and the conventionally and known as the bone marrows and the transplantations and the stem cells and responsible for the production of the blood cell and reside in the bone marrow application of the biotechnology in agriculture. Biotechnology has played major role in the agriculture and by the altering and genes study and the clonings and the various crops in the orders and to provide the better quality and produced of the foods and the ultimately and the improving and over the lives. Hybrid seed, artificial seeds and photosynthesis improvers stress resistance crop and plant and biofertilizer biopesticide are some of the potential advantage and that the biotechnologies can confer the across a wide range of agriculture application are in areas such as the livestock management, storage of agriculture production and sustainable current crops and yield while the reducing the use of the fertilizers and herbicides and pesticides. Biotechnology offer other very promising alternatives to the synthesis food and the improvement on the conventional plants and breeding technologies and combined with others the advanced agriculture technologies it is offer and the exciting and environmentally responsible way to the meet and consumers demand for the sustainable agriculture. Animal husbandry, the application of the biotechnology in this the areas in the increasing production efficiency through manipulation and control of the physiological systems and improving the health and the well-being of the animals and assumes great the significant embryos and transplantations and used the cattle and goats and pigs and the sheep aims to the increase the number of the offspring and from other quality females and clonings embryos and to the artificiaries and produce the genetics and duplicates it of and the animals has also becomes the possibles and direct the manipulations and alterations of and the animals genetic material. Genetic engineering has the potential to produce even more the drastic changes in the animals and breeding. It is the believed that the generically and the alter rate and pigs may one day and be able to the provided compatibles and organs for the emergency transplantation and the ex no transplantation into human. Application of biotechnology in food processing. Biotechnology has other major application in the food sectors and bread, cheese and wines and bean and yogurt and the vinegars and are all the made by the culturings and the microorganism and are the really the oldest and production of biotechnology. It help in improving the edibility and textures and the storage of the food in the preventing the attack of the food and mainly the dairy by the virus and like the bacteriophage and biotechnologists are also the developing and taste and that will the allow and the detections of food and the contaminating and microorganism and the toxins and they produced which may be presented only in the minutes and quantities. Biotechnology also has the applications and in the detections and of the mutagens and substances and that causes and genetic mutations and in the individuals and for the productions. GM crops and which has been the approved and for use in the food items in selected the countries and include the corn, maize and soya tomato and the potato and papayas and latest the innovations in the biotechnologies and there the fortifies and measures the stems and with the micronutrient and like the vitamin A, zinc and the iron can be game changers and for the hunger problems in India. Environment. Biotechnologies can be the used to tackle the environmental issues like deforestation and air the pollution. Biotechnology can help in the fundings and out the level of the particulated and matter and 2.5 in the airs and biotechnologies and in the already and the providing other clean and the renewables alternatives into the traditional fossil fuels, the warnings of the which contributed to the global warming. The benefits of the environmentals and the biotechnologies help used to the avoid the use of the hazardous and the pollutant and vast and that the effect the naturals and the resources and the environment. The biosensors, and which the combined other logical, biologicals and components such as and the enzymes and with the various electrical component to the triggers either circuit when either particular type of chemicals is detected, and the biosensors are the capable of the detecting in the extremely and low level of the protein and hormones and pollutant and gases and other the and the molecules. Government initiative to boost the sector, the Ministry of Science, the Ministry of the Science and Technology, Government of India, and the RIKEN, Japan, largest research organization, have the signed and memorandums of the understanding (MOU) and to the launch joint research and programs in the field of the biology, life sciences, and material sciences. And UK Trade and Investment (UKTI) and the Associations of the Biotechnology Led Enterprises (ABLE) have the signed the MOU and to the encourages and the developed the collaboratives and opportunities between the Indians Life and Sciences organizations and the UK. The Drug Controller General of India has approval the Bicons Ltd to market its the biosimilars and the trastuzumab and developed and jointly with the US drug makers and Mylan and for the treating breast and cancers. This is the major milestones and for the both partners as it is the world first biosimilars and the trust to move and to be the accorded regularity and approvals, said MS Kiran and Majumdar and show the chairperson and the managing director Bicon. The Government of India and plan to set up the National Institution of Biotics and Stress Management for the addressing plants and the protection issues and will be the established at the Raipur, Chhattisgarh. Conclusion. Every new drug and discoveries and or the drug approval and not only the draw and cheers and from the millions of the victims of the debilitating and the diseases but also the aids and value to the biotechnology and companies in other complex play of scientific and progress and the market forces and the biotechnology industry is recording growth and that can the revive the information technology industries and boom of the 1990s India with its huge workforce and other potential market for the end and product and can look out for other bright and future in the biotechnology sector. Conversation environment. Conversational environment and pollution and degradations and environmental impact assistance. The Kunming's Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework and GBF is the landmark agreement adopted at the 15th meeting of the Conference of the Parties to the Convention of the Biological Diversity CBD and sets out the comprehensive and the MBTS plans to halve and the reverse biodiversity loss by the 2030 and achieve other nature's positions bird by the 2015 discussed to 50 word difficulty level moderate reference inside on ice by the questions. The question is the part of the static syllabus of the general studies papers 3 and the mention as the part of the mission 2024 secures timetables and key demand of the questions and to write about Kunming and Montreal Global Biodiversity Frameworks and GBF and key takeaway from the COP15 directive words discuss. This is an all the encompassing and the directive you must debates on paper by going and through the details of the issues and concern by the examine and each one of them and you must give the reason for both for and the against argument. Structure of the answer and introduction begins and by the giving context of COP15 body. First, write about the Kunming's and Montreal Global Biodiversity Frameworks and GBF and its the component and next the write in details and about the various takeaway and from the COP15 30 into 30 initiatives the conservations and protection and restorations and monitoring and the reporting progress and pollutions and pesticides harmful substance etc. Next, write about the measures and that the needs to be taken to achieve above the targeted conclusion. Conclude by the writing a way forward introduction. The 15th conference of party COP15 and to the UN conventions on the biological diversity, the CVD, and adopted the Kunming and Montreal Global Biodiversity Frameworks and GVF. December 19, 2022, and the framework has 23 targets that the world needs to the achieve by the 2013, and the first part of the COP15 and took places in the Kunming, China's, and the rainforest and the commitment to address the biodiversities. To address the biodiversities. The first part of the COP15 took place in the Cunningham, China, and reinforced the communication and to address the biodiversity crisis, and Cunningham Declaration was adopted by the over 100 countries. GBF include the 4 goals and the 23 targeted for the achievement and by the 2013, and the target are the MBTS, and considering that the biodiversity and is in the poor state in the 2020 world had the failed and to meet the last set of target and the achieve target, and countries would need to ensure the success this time and round body roadmap and 4 GBF goal on of 2013 and implementation strategy for the 2030 and monitoring. Maintaining ecosystems and integrity and health to the half the existence extinctions and misserings and the valuing the ecosystem services providing by the biodiversity and sharing the monetary and non-monetary and gain and from the genetic resources and the digital sequences of genetic resources and raising resources for all countries to close the biodiversity finance gap. The GBF in alliance with UN SDGs and 3 of which directly and deal and with the environment and thus with the biodiversity goal 13 on the climate action and goal 14 on life below and water and goal 15 on life on land. Monitoring members nations needs to the summits either revised and the updated national biodiversity strategy and the action plan in 2024 countries and would have to review the excitings existence law relating to not just the environment and but areas and such as the industries and agriculture and land use. There are the specifics and the indicators for the countries and to the report their progress as part of the transparency and reporting the arrangement. Global biodiversity policy frameworks and for 2013 and whole of the society approach the toward restoring futures and the role of the financial and the business sectors and the role of the cities in the new deals of the natures and global scenarios and to have and the restore nature and transformative changes and to rethinking the singulars and use of the landscapes. Decoding the 23 target and set it the COP15. Key takeaway from the COP15 and Biodiversity Summit and 30 into 30 deals and restores 30% degraded ecosystem and gradually on land and sea and by the 2030 and converse and manage 30% area terrestrial and land. terrestrial, inland and water, and the coastal and the marine bio 2013, and stop the extinctions of the known species, and by the 2015 and reduce the tenfold the extinction risk and rate of all the species including the unknown, and reduce risk from the pesticides, and by the it list and 50% by the 2030, and reduce the nutrient and loss to the environment by it the list 50% by 2030, and reduce the population pollutions and risk and negative impact of populations from all sources, and by the 2013 two levels there were not reduction pollution risk and negative impact on the pollution from all sources, and by 2032 level there are the not harmful to the biodiversity and ecosystem functions. Reduce the global footprint of the consumers, and by the 2013 and including through the significantly, and reducing over the consumptions and the waste generation, and halving the food wastage and money for managers. Signatories. I am to the insure and USD 2,200 and billions per year is the cancel to the conservation initiative from the public and private sources, and wealthier and countries and should contributed at least the USD 20 billions and of this the years, and this every years, and by 2025 and the it listed USD 30 billions in the years by 2013, and big companies report impact on the biodiversity. Companies should analyze and report how the operation affected and are affected by the biodiversity issues, and the parties agreed to large companies and financial institutions being supplies to requirement and to make the disclosures and regarding the operations and supply chain and for portfolio harmful subsidiaries and countries committed and to the identified and subsidiaries and that the deplete and biodiversity by the 2025, and them then eliminate and phase out or reforms them, and they agreed to the slaves and those incentives, and by it the list and USD 500 billion a year, and by the 2013 and the increased incentives, and that are the positive for the conservations monitoring and reporting progress, and aid the grid, and IAMS will be the supported and by the process by the monitoring programs in the futures in other bit to prevent, and this the agreement and meeting the same fate is the similars.